In this tutorial we will see how to export a planet to Unity. So first I've just loaded one of my sample here, and you have to choose what you want to export. So here I will just make a simple planet. I have no clouds, no rings, and I will first choose the resolution I will use for my planet, for the textures. So I will go to Edit Options, and into the output I will choose the render size. So with the Pro version you can go up to 16K by 8K. Here I will just stay in 4K by 2K, and you can change the anti-aliasing if you want. With one sample per pixel is okay for me. And then I will also check what I will export exactly, because I don't need to generate everything, and let's say for the water there is a special case. So I go to the channels and I can choose one of my preset, and so I got Unity 5, and you have all the stuff that can be exported. Not everything is exported, because for instance the clouds will be exported only if you have clouds. It will just check is there clouds? Yes, so I can export the albedo and the alpha of the clouds. Same goes for the rings. So I will just export the albedo of the ground and water. Here just the smoothness, so I will use the default material for that. I can export the ambient occlusion, the normal of the ground and water, and that's all. The water times water alpha, it's used only when you have emissive water. So if you have, for instance, planet with lava pits and stuff like that, then you can check that. Here I don't want it, so I'm just unchecking. It will only export the stuff that are checked, nothing more. So you can always choose what you want with the drop down. Here you have lots of choices. Not all the stuff are available if you don't have the Pro DLC. And there's also these two checkboxes, the sRGB and 16 bits. The 16 bits is only if you want to have very high quality texture. It's not really recommended for Unity usage to have 16 bits. It's kind of overkill. But the sRGB, it's quite important, that one. It's basically if your texture is gamma corrected or is linear. For everything that contains color, you have to check the sRGB. All the colors have gamma correction when you are in 8 bits per component. So the albedo, the cloud, the ring will be, they all are in sRGB. And for the other, like the ambient occlusion, the normal, or the roughness or softness in this case, it's not sRGB, it's linear. Okay, so once I'm done with that, I got my resolution set, then I'm good. I will click here to render in high definition, so it will regenerate the texture in higher definition. You can see that you have more details everywhere. And once I've done that, I can do the export. And the export will automatically take the channel, the preset I've already edited in the options. So here it's Unity 5, but I can change till at that time. I can use another one if necessary. But here it's Unity 5. The output file format I can use PNG or DDS, TGA or TIFF. I like to use PNG or TGA because it's a very comfortable format. You can change also the normal format. So it can be either DirectX or OpenGL. Unity is using OpenGL format for the normal, so you have to choose OpenGL here. Here it's just if you want to split your texture into square texture instead of one rectangular one. So well, I'm always using rectangular one. And you can also export the geometry of the planet if you want. Here I don't have any ring, so I will not export it. And you can also do a decimation of the planet. So if you put that to 0, you will have the full geometry of the planet, and the density of the geometry depends on your mesh density you have over here. So if you want to increase the number of faces on your planet, then you can increase the mesh density. If you want to reduce it, then you can reduce it over here. The decimation have a sense only if you really have, let's say, displacement and stuff like that, because otherwise just take a regular sphere. It will be better than a one with lots of polygons that you have decimated. It does not make really sense here. So I will not change the decimation level over here. And then you choose where you will save your result here, and the name you will use for your file. So here by default it's just using the name of my preset, which is orange smoother, as a file name. So I will just name it orange, not orange smoother. And once I'm happy with that, I'm just clicking OK. It will export everything, and once it's done, I will have all my files. So the albedo, ambient occlusion, the metal smoothness, normal map, and the object file OBJ, and MTL file. Okay, so all of these can be imported directly in Unity. So I will create a simple project here. I will code it simple planet. So it will be a totally empty project. I choose 3D settings, create the project. Okay. And I will simply drag drop all my stuff here. So the texture and the object OBJ file here in my assets. So you have first to ensure that all the texture are imported correctly. The albedo, it's okay by default, it's just a simple texture, so it's great. So the ambient occlusion, remember I told you it was not a sRGB file, so you have to go to texture, advanced, and bypass sRGB sampling here. Same goes for the apply, and same goes for the metal smoothness. So I have to go to texture, advanced, and bypass sRGB. I also have to check the resolution. I forgot to do that for the first two. As it's 4K by 2K, I just change the max size over here to ensure that it's the full resolution that is used. So I go back to the ambient occlusion, 4K, and albedo. Albedo 4K as well. And there's the last one, the normal, which is also special. So the texture here is a normal map, but be careful and uncheck create from grayscale, because it's not using a grayscale value. It's already a normal map, so you don't need to regenerate from a 8 map. And also 4K. Yep. That's it. Then I can check my my object here and drag drop it. You already have the diffuse that is in the material thanks to the MTL file, but the other parameters are not there. So I just check my object here and change the material. So I got the albedo. I will use the metal smoothness here for the metallic part, the normal map, and I also got the occlusion one. Okay. And that's it. Well, you can fine-tune stuff if you want, like well, reduce the occlusion if you want, the normal map intensity if you find that there's too much bumps on the planet. You can reduce that to 0.5 or increase it if you want. It's really up to you. And so this is really the easy way to integrate a planet here with Unity. But there's another way. If you want to use the material provided with the sample, then you can just load the sample file, which I will do right now over here. So with this package, we have lots of different materials, samples. It's just the default scene here, but I can just add my new planet. I will create a new folder here. So it's simple planet, and here I will just drag and drop my my files over here. Okay, there's one thing here. If you want to use the materials provided, there's one thing to know. I'm not using the same format as the default material. By default, in the RGB, you have the metalness, and in the alpha, you have the smoothness, the softness of the material. But the thing is that for planets, the metalness is not used. So basically you have a texture that is twice larger in video memory than necessary. So what I will do is I will just re-export that texture just for using my material here. And this will allow me to gain half of the space taken in video memory. And just going to the option channels. So what I can do is just, you see I have smoothness, ground and water. This is what I will use. It's just a smoothness and not the metal smoothness. I will uncheck that one. And so depending on what you want to use as material, if you want to use the basic Unity 5 material, just use metal smoothness. If you want to use the material I provide or your own material, it's probably better to have only the smoothness and not the metalness, which is not used in the planet here. So once you've checked that, just regenerate the planet and export it. So I've called it orange, I think. Yeah. So it's orange, and just click OK. Okay, so now I got a new map which is orange smoothness with only the smoothness and nothing in the alpha. And so I can go back to my planet here, go to the simple planet, I drag drop the orange smoothness, and I'm good. Okay, the metal smoothness, I will remove it. It's not necessary over here. So for all my texture, I will change the resolution like I've done before, and also the for all of the texture, I will first change the resolution here. Okay, so the ambient occlusion, I just go to advanced and bypass the sRGB. Normal map, I go to normal map, uncheck the create from grayscale, and I'm good. And for the smoothness, I go to advanced and bypass sRGB. Then I can drag drop my planet here. The material, I change the material to custom, and here I have several choices. I can have the planet base, and all the other three material are for the exterior of the planet, so the clouds, atmosphere, etc. So for this one, I will just use the planet base. I will show you how to add an atmosphere after. So I select planet base, and here it's just different than the regular material. You see, you have so the base, you have the glossiness, which is the smoothness here, the normal map, and the ambient occlusion, and I may have an emission, an emissive map for lava pits and stuff like that. So once you've done that, you can change stuff like changing the quantity of ambient occlusion you have on the albedo. You can change also the smoothness of the planet, so you can shift it in one direction or the other. You can say, okay, I want to change it more thanks to the ambient occlusion. And the normal map, you can reduce its effect, and the ambient occlusion, you can tune it as well. Okay, so once you've done that, you should have something like that. And if you want to use the an atmosphere, then you can check on the different samples provided over here. You see some planets are just plain planet, some other have atmosphere like this one. And if you check it, it's that one is planet 4. You have cloud atmosphere, so that means you have a secondary layer with atmosphere and cloud. So you can use that that object and attach it to your orange planet over here. So I will just duplicate it, put it in the instance here, and scale it correctly for my planet here. So it's the good size, and I just put it in 0, 0, 0 to match the planet. So you see the atmosphere is just over here on top of the planet now. And so by default for this one, it's just using a planet and cloud atmosphere. So if I want to have just a simple atmosphere, I can create my own material. So I go to create material, atmosphere, and that atmosphere, I will put it on my object atmosphere here. And I will just change the material to custom planet atmosphere. And here I can just fine-tune the atmosphere limit, the density of the atmosphere, the the displacement. So if it's the distance between the highest part of the atmosphere from the planet. So I got something like that. It's okay. You can change the color with the high atmosphere color, low atmosphere color, and inner atmosphere color. So just tune depending on what you want here. So let's say if I want a reddish outer color, maybe something more like orange is better. The lowest I can make it brighter, and the inner part, you see, it's just the inside of the planet. So with that you have quite a good and fine tuning on the color you want, and just play with the slider, and you see you have the outer limit, outer density, and to have really what you want as result, the blending between the outer and inner. It really depends on the size of the atmosphere, the color you have taken, etc. And once you're good, then you can take that and create, let's say, a preset out of it. So I can make my orange planet and drag drop over here, and orange planet preset. And then I can just reuse that in any of my project.